Hello all, welcome to Selenium with Java October 21 batch online training session 4. So from last session onward I have started about the session from Java, and in the first session 3, which is all about the Java, where you already learned what is Java, what is the data type, what is class, what is object, right, what is the loop statement, how we can control the loop with the help of break and continue keyword, right. And here I will, this today's session you will learn, right, what is if statement, what is if else statement, what is if else if ladder, what is switch statement, what is method and constructor, how we can deal with the wrapper class, what is date and calendar function, how we can handle exceptions in Java with the help of try catch block. Okay. So first thing is that conditional statement. So yesterday session you already gone through what is loop about, but today you will learn what is conditional statement. So conditional statement are used to control the flow of the program, and sometimes we can insert validation on verification point and error handling. So conditional name itself signifies that condition. So you will be going for the condition. Suppose in case you have two condition, in case one is matching, you will go for that one path. In case that is not matching, you will go for the other path, right? So in the Java there are primarily 5 different type of conditional statement available: if statement, if else statement, else if or nested if, and nested if, and the another is switch statement. So if statement means only there will be one condition. If the condition is true, then you can get the output, or you can validate it. But in case the condition is false, right, then there is nothing you can validate. So to overcome this, there is an if and else condition came. So if the condition is true, you can get some output. If the condition is false also, you can get some output, right. So let's give you simple example for the if and else, how we'll be constructing if and else also, right. So this is the session 4 class I have created for today's session, and this is the main function from where your execution will start from Java. So suppose I am giving you condition for condition I am declaring a variable called integer age, suppose say equal to, suppose say I am giving 5. Okay, and then first I will deal with that if condition, right. So if condition, so if and then condition, and then within the second bracket you have to give the statement, right. So if, then within the first bracket you will be giving the condition age, because that is the variable, right. Here age greater than 2. If age greater than 2, so you already know whenever you are doing the flight booking, right. So that you already know whenever age is 0 to 2, it is infant, more than 2 it is not infant, right. Suppose say in case more than 12, it is not even child also. If it is more than 8, it will be adult. If it is more than 60, it will be senior citizen, like that. So I think if the age greater than 2, I can say you that output will be SYSO, the person is not an infant, because infant is 0 to 2 years. So that is the thing I want to do. So here if condition, and if the condition is matching, then it will print you out. But here nothing is mentioned that if the condition is failing, what will do? It will not be doing anything, right. So let's try to run it. So here the condition will matching, right. You can see this is coming. So this, if the here I have given the age as 5, but the condition is that in case age greater than 2, so it will not be infant. But let's say the age is 1, then what will happen? It will not be display anything, because here we are using only the if loop. So if loop will work only the condition is true, but it will not work in the condition is not satisfying. So to handle this thing, we will be going for the else condition. We will be adding else condition. Nothing, we will be adding else, and we will be giving the statement here. So here I can see the person is an infant, right, because the age is less than 2. Now if you run it, and you will getting that output. Okay, you can see now it is coming. So if you giving it 10, so it will go for the if the positive validation. If it is not, so it will go for the else validation. So that's why we can deal with the if else, right. And if case multiple conditions, right, so I can go for that one for the multiple conditions. Okay, so here, or in I can, you can also go for or if I already give. So just I will give you one example of the nested if, right, before the if else if. So nested if means if within if, right. So here I already checking the first two things, whether age is greater than 2, and in case it is not, so it will go for the infant. So here I want to check more conditions. I want to check whether the person is infant or not. After that, if the person is not infant, I want to check whether my person is adult or not. So here within that if, right, I will give one more if, okay, age greater than 18, right. If the age greater than 18, then I will go for that condition. So it is called nested if, right, nested if else. So here person is not an infant and adult as well, okay. Or here I can go for the else one. Here again I am giving else. So person is not an infant but not adult as well, okay. So that is a simple thing I am doing. So here if my if condition is true, then we will go for this validation again. If it is false, so that will directly go for that one, outside validation. So let's check one by one. So I am giving first one, age. So definitely if condition is not getting me, so directly it is going to the else, right. So here you will print out that person is not an infant, okay. So you can see the person is infant, because it is 0 to 2 years is infant, right. Now if you give age as 10, then so definitely it is going that age greater than 10, but as is age greater than 10, right. So it is again going for the if else loop. So first it will go for that age greater than 18, no, it is not satisfying. So it will go for that person is not an infant but not adult as well. You can see that is the output is coming. And now if you give the age as 20, so definitely age greater than 2 is matching. After that it will try to check if the condition is matching for the second one. So here age is greater than 18 as well. So the person is not infant and adult as well. So that output will be coming. So that is called nested if else. If else within the if else, okay. You can see an adult as well. So that's the way you can work with that if else and nested if statement, conditional statement. Then I will go for the else if statement. So here we are dealing with only one, positive and negative, but in case you are having multiple conditions, then definitely if else will not work anymore, right. So you have to go if, else if, else if, else if, and in the last it will be else, right. So here I will be giving, suppose first one at, I can declare a variable. Suppose say in the student, right, everybody used to get some marks, right, for each and every subject or overall subject, total suppose say 500 marks, 300 marks, 400 marks, like that, right, and each subject also having some marks from 0 to 100. Okay, suppose say I am declaring some variable called integer subject mark, okay. It is specific to any subject and you can give suppose say any mark, suppose say 75, okay. So I can change it at a point of time. So here I am giving if condition if, okay. So subject mark is less than 30. So what will happen? If it is less than 30, so it happen within the second bracket, you will be giving the statement, right, SO, okay. So I will be giving the output as student got fail in that particular subject, okay. Or maybe I can give it for 40. So for say 40 is the first mark, say, okay, it is your assumption, okay. So say it's got failed, okay. Then I can go for other one, else if, else if, else if, like that. So it will be else if, else and space if. So subject mark greater than 40, okay, and less than 60. So you can give ampersand for the condition, sorry, and less than 60. Okay. So you can say student got average mark. Okay. Similar way I can go for the else if. Okay, and I can go for another if else 60 t 85. So I will be giving if sorry, here the marks will be from 40 to 60. Okay, so that is the range. Okay, then I will be giving 60 to 80 range, and then I will be giving another range 60 to 80. I will be giving 80 to 100, right? 80 to less equal to 100. It can be 100 also equal to, right? Less equal to 100. So here if the student marks get marks within the range of 60 to 80, so student got very good mark in the particular subject. In case within 80 to 100, so student got excellent mark, I can say. Okay, and here the last condition else. In case the not a single condition is matching, then I will go for that student got failed, right? Student got failed. Okay, so that are the different condition I am giving. Okay, so that is a simple thing. So it can be for overall marks or any specific mark for the subject. So that is the simple thing. I am declaring any variable which is marks. In case mark, okay, it's already there. Less than condition I already mentioned. Okay, so say now you can give any kind of conditions. Okay, so less than 40 is fine, or you can maybe go for the else one is student mark is not correct. Okay, the else condition is student mark is not appropriate. So that is the else, means in case any of the condition is not matching, it will go for the else condition. So now you can try to run your code. So I have given multiple condition, right? So 75 means it will be within the 60 to 80 range. So student got very good mark in the particular subject. So that will be the output, right? You can see this coming here. If you give 95, so it will be also coming that student got excellent marks, right? Student got excellent mark in the subject, right? In case it is less than 40, okay, so you can give it less than 40, suppose say 35, so definitely it will be failed, student will be failed, right? Okay, so that's why even if you gave different one, right, suppose 30.1, it will not take, right, because that is the variable. Okay, so that's why you can deal with the else if condition, if else if ladder. Okay, in case you are having multiple condition, definitely it is not be possible to handle them with only else and if condition or the nested if. You have to go for the else if condition. So that's why you will be dealing with that one, because those are the condition with through which you can add some verification point or assertion point, right? So definitely in test engine you will be using soft assertion, hard assertion, but sometimes with the help of if else loop or else if ladder you can add some assertion point. Okay, the next one is switch conditional statement. So it is also the last one. So if covered, if else if covered, nested if covered, and else if ladder also covered. So switch one is the last fifth one from the conditional statement in Java. A switch statement allows a variable to be tested for equality against the list of value. So this is the syntax for switch. Switch expression, the case value. So every case, every case, right? Here each value will be called as case, right? And the variable being switched on is checked for each case. So each case can be segregated with the break statement. So I will show you in case you are using break or in case you are not using break, then what will impact, how it will impact your switch statement. Okay. So each case should be unique. You cannot have any duplicate case, right? Switch statement can work with integer, character, short, long data type, right? So that is the syntax of switch statement. Okay. Now say I will be giving you some sort of switch statement here. So let's go for mark similar way, okay, or grade, okay. So I will be showing you one of the thing we already shown you the integer. Here I will be showing you other one which is character, okay. So character you already know, it is only the data will be character. So I can say here grade, okay. So character, in case it is a character, right, we have to be within a single quote. So suppose say I am giving it A, B, C, D, you can give it, right. So it can end with colon. And what is the syntax for switch statement? Switch expression. So I will be using switch, SWITCH expression, means here grade. Grade is the variable or expression, right. Then I will be giving second bracket and you will be giving all the case one by one, right. The case value and the statement. Case all will be lower case. So case, what is the case? I can give A, then colon, and after that you need to give the statement, right, SOIA. So I can give student grade is excellent, right. Suppose say with more than 80% marks.
Expression and variable are same thing, right?
Yeah, expression means that what you want to enter, right, what you want to validate, okay. So that is called expression. Yeah, you okay, that is the reason. Expression means for which you want to validate, right. So I want to validate for grade only, right. So that is the reason, okay. Okay, you got it. Then I can use break statement because every statement should be end with break. I will show you in case we are not using any break what will happen, no need to worry. Then you can see here all the will be there and the last it will be default, okay. So after default there is no need of break. Okay. So case A, case I can B, next one is the B and C grade, it is realistic also. You can see in case it is not unique it will throw some error, okay. Here you can see error message is coming because it is not unique, right, and D. The last one should be default. So default, there is nothing is required, default, and also no break is required. Default, DEFUL, what is that? Default, okay, no case is required here, only default, okay. So here in the default I can say invalid grade, right, default is invalid grade. Or mark less than 30%. So for B I can see student grade is very good, right, with with 60 to 79% mark, right. So here I can say student grade is good, right, with 45 to 59% mark. Okay, student grade is average. With 30 to 44% mark. Okay, so that way I can segregate it, right? Grade A will be in case it is more than 80% mark. Grade B in case it is 60 to 70% mark. So student is very good, and it is 45 to 59. So student is good. C, grade C. In case average 30 to 40%, just pass mark average. So to grade D. In case it is not matching, so either it can be invalid grade or mark less than 30%. Okay. Why it is invalid grade? Suppose in case not matching with A, B, C, D, so it will be invalid grade, right? Or marks less than 30%. So you can run it with here. So first I have tried to given is A. So you can see student grade is excellent, more than 80% mark. So give it C. So it will print you student grade is good with 40 to 59% mark. Okay, you can see here. If you give it to T, so definitely is not valid, right? Because A, B, C, D I have given 4, so it is invalid grade, right? So it will go for that one. Okay, you can see invalid grade or marks with less. So why I am saying that break is required? So break is optional, you can give it or not. But in case you are not giving the break, so what happens? Though condition is not matching, right? But it will still execute the remaining step because it is not breaking your code. So that is the problem. So now if you give it A, so it will only print you, because as and when condition is matching and it is found break, so it will break out the loop, switch statement as well. Okay. In case the break is not there, it will go beyond that. It will try to run the remaining step. Here break is there, right? So it is only executing that code and it is breaking out. So it is moving out from the loop. Now remove the break. Okay, let's try to execute it and see the output. So it will go for the next step until the break is there. You can see here 2 line is getting displayed, right? So here condition is not matching, but no break is there, right? So it is going for the next one, and here as break is there, so it is stopping there. In case you remove the break for the next line, so it will still try to execute the third line until the break is there. So in case break is not there, so it will try to execute even the condition is matching. That is the problem. That is the reason you should always use the break. Okay, so that as and when the condition is matching, it will try to go out from the loop. Okay, is it clear? The conditional statement in Java. Any questions? Okay. Then I will go for the next topic, which is the method. So why the method in
So
yeah.
rather we will be using these conditions or loop within our Selenium WebDriver to assert the value.
Yeah. In case you are not using TestNG, definitely for the minor code you can definitely use the assertion, right? I already mentioned, right? Okay, but in case you are using any TestNG framework, there is no need to use the assertion. Okay, so in the TestNG already assertion is there, which is inbuilt in the TestNG framework, which is the hard assertion and soft assertion. But for the normal one, you can use, right, to verify something, the if else condition, all this stuff, conditional statement, to add some verification point. Even sometime also, if you are adding assertion, still you can use one or two minor thing, conditional statement, the real time as well. Then the Java method. Okay, so why method is required? Okay, so just I am giving simple logic. Say, suppose say today you need to print 10. Use any simple thing 10 times, right? So definitely you need to call, you need to write the code 10 times. Okay, but now say just like the giving the example, right? We are using creating a web element. Why we are creating a web element for the element? Because in case any property got changed, we will update in one place. So every places there is no update is required. So that is a simple thing for the web element. Whenever we are creating any web element variable, right, for any of the element locator. Similarly, the importance of the method is that in case you are using the multiple times, so you will be writing the code only for one time, and you will be calling that method as and when there is required. So the main objective is that in case if you want to update the method, you will be only updating in the only one place instead of in the multiple place. So that is the beauty of method, right? Or sometimes called as functions. There are two methods available in Java, two types of method. One is the built-in method, like you already see string method and date time method. I will cover it today. And user-defined method, here is two type. One is the method without any returning any value, and one is the return with value. So that is the reason I have given two example also. So return means it will add, it will return something. So it will return something, and without returning means it will not return anything. It will be void. Okay. So let me give you some simple example. Yeah. So suppose say you need to print few lines multiple times. Okay. So okay. So suppose you need to write test Java. Okay. That is multiple times. Say 5 times. Okay. If you run your code, it will definitely work. It will give you test Java 5 times. Okay. Got it? Now say you want to change test Java to Java test. Okay. So what happens? You need to update your all lines right here every times. Okay. In case you forgot to update, so it will not give you the correct result. So suppose say I updated 3 places or 4 places, I missed to update in 1 places. So what happens? So it will give you the wrong result. In case it's used 200 places, you might forgot something, right, to update it. Okay. You can see that places are not updated. But here instead of this one, I will be writing a method here. Okay. Public void. Okay. Suppose the method name I can give test Java. That is the method I can give it. And here that method so I can use that Java test. Okay, that's gone. So let's comment it out this code, and if you want to use them multiple times, so I'll be calling that one. So here first I need to create an object or instance. Here you already see how to create an object or instance. This is the method here. So I'll be creating an object session 4 obj equal to new session 4. That's why I will be creating an object, because this is a non-static method, right? In case it's static method, I can directly call it. Now with the help of object, I can call the method, right? Test Java. Okay. Now if you required 5 times, you can simply copy paste. Okay. So that you will be getting the output. Okay. Now say tomorrow, instead of Java test, customer wants to change it to again to test Java. So what happened here? You will be changing in only in the method. So you no need to update or touch your remaining lines of code. You can see if you run it, you will not be having any error. Okay. You can see every time it's 10 Java test. If you want to use them 20 times, 10 times, there will no impact at all. You will be updating in one place, and every time it will be automatically updated. So that is the beauty of the method, right? It does not matter whether it's having a return type or not. Okay, you can see. Now if you again tomorrow you need to change it with Java test, or you need to suppose say amend something, right? Test Java, I need to add your date. Suppose say you need to add your date. Suppose say 10th October. So you will be updating only one place. Okay, and you will be your all lines of code will be automatically changed. You don't need to worry how many times it has been used. Code your Java code methods will worry. You don't need to worry. So that's why you can call them. Okay. So that is the beauty of the method. Okay. So that method I showed you without any return type. Okay. And I will create another method where you will be having some return type. Suppose say I want to create another method here in the class level. So public add. So that is the method name, where I can pass some variable. Suppose say integer a, comma integer b, comma integer c. So these three variable I want to sum, right? Okay, so I want to declare another variable integer d, where d equal to a plus b plus c, and I want to return it. So it will be return d. Now you can see, so some error message is there because I am returning, so return type I need to add, it will not be void. So what is return type? Because this is the integer d, so I need to add return type as integer. So it's gone, error message gone. Now if you want to use that method, so it will be, you need to add within the SOISO, otherwise it will not be print. Okay, so it will be given output in the console, then object dot add. So here you can see you need to pass three variable. So during runtime you can pass it. Suppose say I can pass 10. Sorry, I can then I will be giving 10. No, I want to add 10. By second variable is 20, and third variable is 30. Because it is integer, so it should give some integer value. Otherwise, it will throw some error. Now, if you want to run it, so it will give you the value sum of three variables. So that's why you can create another method where you will be returning some value. You can see value is coming as 60. Next time you can call the same method, okay, and you can pass different variables, right? So here I will be using obj dot add, and here I can pass three different values. So one can be 0, other can be 5, other can be 100. Okay, it will also give you the error. But if you cannot change the data type, so whatever data type already defined in the method, you have to use the data type only. Otherwise, it will throw some error. You can see. So that's why you can use it, right? One is the method without any body, I mean without any return type, and one is the method without with return type. Okay, so that are the different importance of the methods or functions. Sometimes they call as functions, sometimes they call as methods. Okay, it is built-in method, so string and date times, and one is the user-defined methods, returning value and without returning any value. Is it clear? Any doubt?
Clear.
Alisa, Harpreet? Okay, very good. Okay, I am going slow. Okay, so that is the reason trying to give more example, real time example. Okay, it's not the theoretical example. The next one is the constructor, right? So what is constructor in Java? Why the constructor is required, right? So you already see that suppose say I want to create any method, right? So I'll be creating the methods, and then I'm creating an object here, and after that I'm calling the methods, right? Sometime I don't want to go that way, so I'll be creating a constructor. So constructor name should be method name, and the constructor should not have a return type. Okay, so that I will as and when I will be creating any object directly, automatically constructor will be called. So that is the beauty of the constructor. In case you are not having any constructor, by default one constructor will be there, which is default constructor. Okay, so let me go through you all this thing. So constructor is a block of code similar to the methods. It is similar to method, but some difference is there. It is called when an instance of the object is created and memory is allocated for the object. The purpose of the constructor is to initialize the object of a class, while the purpose of method is to perform a task by executing Java code. In other words, constructor provides memory to an object. As in will be creating the constructor, automatically memory will be allocated. You need to call the method. So without initializing an object, we cannot use its property. So that is the reason constructor is required. A constructor eliminates placing the default value. So you already seen, right? So in case there is no default value, so for the default value it will be null, for the string, for integer it will be 0, and for double it will be 0.0, like that. Every time an object is created using the help of new keyword, at least one constructor is called. It is called the default constructor. Constructor cannot be overloaded, but can be can be overloaded, but cannot be overloaded. You no need to worry about that. So whenever I will be covering the ops concept, I will be letting you know what is overriding, what is overloading, all this stuff. A constructor has the same name as the class name, which is reside, but it should not have any return value. That is the basic difference of the constructor and a method. So method name and constructor name, right? Constructor name can be same as the method name, but it should not have a return type. That is a simple example I have tried to given. So this is the class test, and I am creating a method called test. then if you give any body, right, so it cannot be a constructor. Okay, sorry, body can be there but cannot be any return type. Okay, so here you can see return type void is there, so it cannot be constructor. So here it's only constructor is test. Test one is not a constructor because it is return type is void. So I will try to show you with some real example what is constructor all about and how can you deal with constructor, right? So I already told you, right, constructor name should be same as the method name, but it should not have any return type. So let's create a constructor, right? Public, it should be the same name of the method name. Okay, so this is the constructor I am trying to create here. So body I can give anything. Okay, so test constructor. Okay, so that's the written lines of code I have only written for the constructor. Then what happens? So here I will be just creating an object or instance here, right? Okay, you can see I have created an object or instance. So that object I did not create. So if you run the code, what will happen? So it will run the constructor. So as and when you will be creating any object or instance, it will be run the constructor. That is the beauty of the constructor. Next line, if you want to run, create another object, which is object 1. So again the same constructor will be called, right? So you can see no need to use any method or variable, right? Automatically whatever constructor you created directly it is calling with the help of new keyword. So I can constructor can be overloaded means same constructor you can create multiple times, definitely with different thing. So here I can pass one parameter, say integer array. Okay, so it will work, test constructor, and then you can concatenate with a. Okay, now if you want to run it again, you want to create an object here with the help of new created, right, object 2, and here you can pass that one, right? Suppose say I want to pass 10, because this is the another constructor I have created, where you can see I am passing some variable. Similar way I can create another constructor for that second. I can create another object 3. Here I can pass different one, 30. So 2 constructor I have created with the default one, and 2 constructor I have created where I am passing the value. Let's try to run it and let's see what is the output is coming. One is with input value, one is without any input value. You can see test constructor 10 is coming here, test constructor 30 is coming, and for the first 2 it is test constructor, because here as per the input value it is only added here. Okay, so that's why I can create constructor. So constructor is very useful. So in case you are creating constructor, you no need to use them. As and when directly you are creating object for instance, immediately the relevant constructor will be called. That is the beauty of Java and the constructor. Is it clear? Any doubt? Any questions? Because sometimes in the framework also we can create we can use the constructor, so that we no need to use any method, right? We can directly calling the constructor. We can directly call the constructor in the real time. Then the wrapper class. So you already seen the data type, right? So double, integer, float, short, string. Okay, but the problem is that this is the data type, right? So and they do not belong to any class. Okay, they are defined in language itself. Okay, but sometimes we require to convert them, right, to the object, because the data type are not object, but Java sometimes only consider object, because in the collection framework they only consider object but not the data type. So that can be trouble. So that is the reason sometimes those data type we need to convert them to the wrapper class, to the relevant wrapper class. So you can see for each and every primitive data type there will be wrapper class. For character it will be character, byte, double, boolean, right, integer like that. So for each and every data type there will be respective wrapper class will be there in the Java. Okay, so wrapper class is a class whose object wraps or contains a primitive data type. Okay, wrapper class are used to convert any data type to object, because the primitive data type are not object, they do not belong to any class, they are the simply defined language itself, right? They are defined in the language itself. But sometimes in Java, it is required to convert data type into object. So wrapper class came into the picture. So wrapper class provides a mechanism to wrap primitive values into an object so that primitives can do activities reserved for the object, like especially for the collection framework, right? Array list, hash set, hash map, or linked list, like etc. Right? So for each and every data type, there is a corresponding wrapper class is there. So that way I can use the wrapper class. So that let's define some variable here. Okay. So value will not be changed, but you are wrapping them into the object, so that collection, in case you are using specific some Java features, you can always use them without any error or issue. So suppose say integer a equal to 10, it's fine. So if you print so a, it will give you 10 only, no need to worry. Okay. But suppose say I want to convert them to wrapper class, then how I can convert it, right? So I will be creating any variable with the help of integer wrapper class. Okay. So integer, okay, object, I can convert it to object a equal to new integer. Here I will passing the variable a, right? Then I can print out, instead of a I can print object a. Now if you want to print, so both way it will be work same. So output will be always 10. Okay, you can see always 10. But you can use them anywhere. That is the beauty of wrapper class. There another important wrapper class characteristic, that suppose say you know based on the data definition, so it will behave, right? Suppose say I am defining something called string str, but here I am giving the value only integer. Okay, 1 2 3 4 or maybe 1000. Okay, so this is the integer value, but Java it will string only consider string. One second, what's happening? Okay, but it will string considered as string. 1000 is not numeric, it will not consider. Suppose say if you want to concatenate, right? If you want to add, suppose say str with 100, then what should happen, right? So it's 1000 should added to 100, it should be 1100, but no, it will be only the value will be 1000 and it will be added. Concatenation will happen because you have declared as string. So it will still 1000, though it is numeric value or integer value, it will still consider as string. So sometime if you defining something as string, but it is only considering only containing the numeric value, and if you want to convert that string to the numeric value, and after that if you want to perform any operation, so you have to use that one. Okay, which is the parse method, right? So I can consider that string to the relevant parse integer. Okay, so let's try to create another variable called integer, right? Base int equal to, so I will be calling that integer methods. Okay, integer class available in Java. Then if you press dot, so all the important class will be there, right? Parse int. Okay, and here I will be passing the variable called string. So now it's converted to integer, all the numeric part. Now if you want to add them, right? So it will be giving you value as 1100. 1000 plus 100 equal to 1100. Okay, so that's way you can sometime convert a numeric value within a string variable to an integer variable. You can see. Okay, but you cannot directly access them. In case you are using an integer value, if you want to concatenate something, if you want to add something, perform any operation, it will simply concatenate it. But if you want to convert them, if you convert them to the relevant integer value with the help of integer class and the parts in methods available in Java, after that you are storing those variables in some integer value, and after that you can perform any operation, right? So that's why wrapper class is playing a very pivotal role in Java, especially for the collection framework. If you want to use them, you need to convert them to wrapper class. Otherwise, those all the data types will create a lot of troubles for you down the line.
So, wrapper class is used as a typecast.
No, it is not a type. Yeah, that is typecasting here. Typecasting, I cannot say. It is upcasting and downcasting is different thing. Okay, typecasting is different thing. Okay, it is like that. I mean, kind of. If you want to access child element directly, so sometimes you need to typecast. So that is not different. That is different thing. But it is a wrapper class is a class available in Java to wrap primitive data type to the relevant class object, so that you can deal with any kind of I mean, especially for the collection framework, because collection framework you will only consider the object, it will not consider any data type, because data type are written in the Java as an kind of language defined. Okay, it is not an object, but in Java sometimes only they deal with object, not the data type. So you need to convert them the primitive data type to the wrapper class, so that it will not create any trouble down the line. Upcasting and downcasting, I think I have created a video. I can provide you the link reference, so you can go through upcasting and downcasting.
Okay.
And for each and every wrapper class, there will be important methods, right? Just like the integer dot parseInt, right? Similarly, if you type other so on, you can find a lot of important methods. Suppose say I am creating here double, okay, double dot. If you press dot, you can see compare to, convert to double, parse double, everything will be finding, right? You can see parse double. In case it is double value within the string, I can convert it to double, right? Parse double with the help of double, parse double. Okay, so there are a lot of important method. Even I did not use all of them, but definitely each and every method is having some important importance, right? I mean, value you can see here. This will give you all the definition. Okay, no need to worry. If you do not know, you just right click here. Okay, so you can get all the details here. Okay, suppose say parse double. If you do not know the what is this all about, okay, just select and right click. Yeah, you can see it return a new double initialized to the value represented by the specific thing as far from the value of middle class. Okay, so that's how you can get everything. The next one is date and calendar class. So just like the string, right? So it's also an predefined class available, which is date and calendar. And definitely in case we are using those class, definitely we can use all the important methods, right? So the class date represents a specific instant in time with millisecond precision. The date class of Java .util package implements serializable, clonable, and comparable interface. It provides constructor method to deal with the date and time, right? So definitely, as and when you are dealing with the date and time, so definitely I can get the year, month, hours, day, weekday, minutes, seconds, millisecond, like that, right? So first, just try to create a calendar instance of the calendar class. So that is the one of the important classes available in Java. So I can create a calendar instance of the calendar class. So that is the class calendar. I can use a variable calendar equal to calendar dot get instance. Dot get instance. Calendar dot, I need to check. Okay, create constant calendar. Why? dot, yeah, get instance. So that's way I can get the instance, and yeah. So now if you want to get the time, right, so you can get the time directly. So because this will be required sometimes, okay, because to print the date, to append the date in the screenshot, right, so it will be required. So that is the reason whatever is really required for start your journey in the automation, Selenium automation, I have tried to cover in my syllabus. Okay, dot get time. It is coming from the date class, you can see, and calendar. Now try to run it and let's see what is the date time is giving. You can see Sunday, October 10, right, 8:09:55 IST 2021. That is giving you all the times. But say if you want to get only the year, right, month, you can get it. Okay, so you'll be giving ISO, then cal dot, there is a get method, right, and within that get method you can use calendar class dot year. Why it's happening? Calendar. Now this is the get method, cal dot get, and then bracket dot year. Yeah, okay. I think coming year. Similar way, if you want to check with other things, you can check how the year, right? Then it is month dot date. Okay, you can see date you can get, and you can get dot month, right, then got hours, whatever is required you can get it, hours. Okay. Now try to run it and let's see what is giving. Okay, you can see here year is 2021, date is 10, month is 9, right, it is starting from 0. So October is the 9th month, hour is 8. Okay, so that's what it will give you. Okay. Now say this is the another method. Now say if you want to change the calendar, right?
But, Aradhan, 1 second.
Yeah.
October is it starting with
0 month will be starting with 0. Yeah. So 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yeah, 9th, right, October is the 9th. Because Java, I mean, in case any value specific thing, it's starting from 0 only, right? So that is the reason. Yeah, it is the okay. So now say if you want to set your calendar to a particular date, okay, let's say I want to set my calendar to a particular date. So how can you set it? Then give the calendar variable dot set, right, you can see set, there are a lot of things there, so based on the thing you can set it. So if you select that one, first you need to select the year, then month and date, right. So year, so suppose say 2021 2020 I want to set, right, and month, I want to set the month as suppose say 8, and date suppose say 20. Okay, then fine, I can go for the date and year. Let's try to see after the set is done. Okay, let's go for that. It's coming or not? You can see year is coming 2020 and date is coming 20. Okay, that's why you can set the date, you can change your calendar date, right. That is another approach. Another approach is, you can see, if you want to add suppose say month, right, or you can you want to subtract the month. Okay, So you will be using that way. So calendar dot add, then calendar dot date or month, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I will be using cal dot add. Okay, here you can see integer field and integer amount. So where will be field? My field will be year. Suppose say calendar dot year, that will be my field. Suppose say value, I want to increase the year by suppose say 5, right? Then if you want to check the year, what will happen? So it will give you 2026, right? You can see it's coming. Suppose if you want to reduce by 3, so it will be minus 3, so it will be 2028 or 2018. So that's why you can say change your, you can add something, right? If you want to subtract it, it will be minus. If you want to add it, it will be plus sign. You can add second, minutes, date, month, like that. Suppose if you want to add the hour, suppose say I want to add hour as plus 3, and if I want to check the hour only, so definitely it will be 8 plus 3, hour will be 11, right? So similar way you can subtract it, right? You can set the calendar date fully, right? You can see the hour is coming as 11, 8 was there and 11 is coming. Okay, so that is the importance of the calendar class. Then I will be giving you another the importance of the date class. So you can similar way, without using the calendar class, you can also get the date of the systems, right? So let's use the date class. So these are the two important class specific to deal with the date calendar, date functions. I can create any variable called dt, okay, equal to new date, because date is the class, so I can create an object here directly, right? Then if you want to just print it out, dt, you can definitely print it out. I think here date is a class, so I need to import the date class from the Java, yeah, Java or util package. If you want to run it, you can see this coming, okay. But say I want to change the format, right? I don't want to see in that way. I want to see in different format, slash slash, or maybe hour, first, then minute, then second, like that. So you can change it, your format as well, right? So suppose say I want to give any new format. So suppose say string format, I want to check the my format will be, suppose say I want to first give the HH, then then second, right? And then I want to go for AM or PM, I can definitely give it, and then I can go only for, right, that format, right, DD slash MM slash YY. Let's go for that format. Okay, so that is the format I want to print it out. So for that you want to use that another class is available, simple date format in Java. SDF, I can create an object or instance equal to new simple date format, that is the class available in Java. Here you need to pass the format, whatever format you want to look for that. Let's do it that one. We need to import simple date format class from the java.txt. Now it is done, and then I can just go for printing out that is the relevant format. ISO, what I want to print out in the format SDF, then dot format, and the what is the class, date class, dt. So that is the way I can customize my date format. Okay, simple lines of code you remember, so that you can change it. You can see date, month and year. Okay, I think I am giving wrong for the Okay, I can give triple M, so it will be giving me. There is a, I mean, in the Google you can search all the format, especially for the date, so you can accordingly. You can change it accordingly. I think it will be camp same or like that. Okay, you can see now it is coming 10th October and 21, right? And 18, and this is the PM sign it is giving, right? That is the ampersand is for PM. Now, if you want to check with YY first, then month and then DD, you can do it. So that will be based on the specific requirement. You can change it. So it will be changing in one place. After that, everywhere it will be updated, right? You can get it in the resolution format 8, 19, 22 PM, 21 is the year, then month, and then the date.
So basically, we need to define the format
Yeah, right, right.
using format, and format is variable, right? Here,
Yeah. Format is variable. Whatever if you want to change it.
yes.
Suppose say I want to,
Essentially,
I don't want to take, I want to take only that one. I don't want to take this. So sometimes definitely I want to deal with only. I want to. I don't want the minute, second, hour. So definitely I can get it. Only that hour, minute, sorry, the month, year, and the day. So that is the format whatever I am preferring. Yeah, you can see this coming.
yes. So first we need to define the
Format.
format
Yeah,
what we want.
yeah, right.
Then from the simple date format
Hmm,
class,
hmm, hmm,
we need to create the class,
hmm.
and we need to fetch the
Right,
format,
right, right, right,
right?
right, 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 right. Yeah. And with the help of date class, you can definitely get the date in the default format, which is the first is the date, then the month and the day, and hour, minute, second, IST Indian Standard Time, and this is the year. Then the last one for today's topics is the exception handling. So you know that what is exception, what is error, right? You already know. So exception means something you can know that it can happen, right? So in case you know something, definitely you can handle so that no interruption will happen during your running your code, right? Okay, so that is called exceptions. Okay, exceptions is a problem that arises during the execution of the program. When an execution occurs, the normal flow of the program is disrupted and the program or application terminates abnormally, which is not recommended. Therefore, these exceptions to be handled, right? So primarily, if you want to check, I can give you that there are three types of exceptions available. One is a checked exception, one is the unchecked, and another is the error. Error is definitely you do not know what can happen. System can crash, right? So you are not comfortable, right? So this is error. Checked exceptions means if just during the compilation, right? Before running the code, during the compilation you will getting some error. Suppose if you type integer I caps, it will throw you error immediately before running the code as well. So this is the checks exception. Unchecked exception means in case you want to run them only, then you can get the error name. So this is called unchecked exception. And error means definitely you will not know what can happen, right? So exceptions can happen for different reasons. Suppose say invalid data, right? You already open a file, but that is you need to write it something, right? Suppose you already open a file, then if you want to write something, so it is possible to write something. No, so it will give you some error. Suppose if you want to go to a particular page, but your internet connection has been completely lost, so it will give you some error or exception, right? So if you want to handle the exception, there are kind of 5 keywords available: try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. With the help of try, right, the try keyword is used to specify a block where we should place the exceptions code. The try block must be followed with either catch or finally. It means we cannot use the block alone. Catch definitely for catching the exceptions. Finally is sometimes in case the exception is not occurred, but if I want to execute my exceptions at least one time, so I can surround with finally try catch block. Throw, if I want to use throw and customize exception, it will be throw. And throws, the throws keywords is used to declare exceptions. It does not throw any exception, it specifies that error might comes or exception might comes in the method. It always used with signature, method signature. So this is all about exceptions, and these are the different keyword through which we can handle the exceptions. So there are different kind of exceptions can happen during your running your code or writing your code, right? So arithmetic exception you already know. If you want to do some not the regular one, just like if you want to divide something by 0, so definitely some arithmetic exception will occur, right? The array index out of bound exceptions means, so so you are defining an array, right? Say suppose say 5 index is there, right? And if you want to access with 6 index, so definitely it will throw some error, or maybe -1 or maybe -1. So array index out of bound. And string index out of bound exceptions is, suppose say it is crossing the sign, right? Sometimes, so that will give you class not found. So whatever class you want to access, that is not available at all. File not found, similar way, either the file is not closed or open, or the file is not existent. IO exceptions, similar way, you can give with the help of input output IO exception, in case you already do not have the file or file is open. Internet exception, sometime in case you are using some thread and thread is already sleeping status or already waiting status, definitely you cannot access the thread, right? No such field, the field is not available. No such method, the method is not available. Non pointer, sometimes you are referring an object which is null at all, null, right? The number format exception, the exception is read where the method could not convert a string into a format, a numeric format. Runtime exception, that is the exception sometimes can happen only during the runtime. So these are the different kind of generic exception I have tried to give you holistic picture what is exception all about, and what are the different kind of exception can generally happens throughout your journey, especially for the Selenium with automation testing and Java. Okay, so let's give you simple example here, right, so that you can understand it. So why we need to handle the exception, why we need to do it, or else why it will, I mean in case we are not handling the exception, what will happen? Suppose say I am writing a line of code here, the first line output, so it will give you that one, okay, and you will be okay, you need to go with that one. So suppose a 2 line, if you want to just print in the console, in your first line output in console, that will display, and you can see another line, your last line output. Okay, now if you want to run it, right, it will definitely give you the result, correct result in the console. Okay, you can see here. Okay, but in the meantime, suppose say after first line I want to do some operation, integer a equal to 10 divided by 0. Okay, so what happened? This will not be possible to execute it, right? Because that operation will not be possible, because it will throw some exception, arithmetic exception, because anything cannot be divided by 0, you will not get any result. So what will happen? Let's see. You can see first line of code is getting executed, that is getting executed. After that, whenever second is line is, if you want to perform that operation, so immediately exception is coming, exception in thread main Java lang or arithmetic exception by 0, and after that remaining line of code is not getting executed. That's the problem. Exception can happen, but if you do not handle the exception, after the exception whatever line of code you written, this will never be executed. That is the problem, that is the reason we need to handle the exception. Then how could we handle the exception? So I will show you how we can handle the exception of the try catch block. So if you select the line of code and you go to, there is an option called surrounds with. Okay, let's select that one and right click here, yeah, surrounds with, right? You can see surrounds with try catch block. Okay, automatically the code will written. Okay, now you are handling the exception in the try catch block, right? So what happened? Exceptions will be displayed, but your remaining line of code will be executed. So that is the beauty of the exception handling. So you know that this kind of problem can happen, so you can better to handle the exceptions. Okay, so you can see the remaining line of code is also getting executed. Okay, but exception is coming. Okay. So that is the one way. Other way is you can manually go for the exceptions. You can manually go for the try catch block. So how can you use the try catch block? Okay. So this is the exception name you already know. You can go for the RSB exception. Otherwise, you can use generic exception, which is exception. Or in case you already know the exception name, you can also handle with the exception name. You can click here, and that is the exception. You can use that one, and you can surround with try catch block. Okay. So let's go with the try. First start with try, try, then give second bracket.
Haradhan, can you go back, please? I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Just now you copied something somewhere.
No, that one. That has many exceptions, right?
Yeah. So can you please repeat?
Yeah, that if you click here, you can get it, that exception name. So one is generic one, exception, so it will handle all kind of exception. Otherwise, if you know the exception name, you can handle that way, right? So I can surround with try catch block here. So if you surround the try catch block, it will give you the default one. Otherwise, you can write your exception name. Surround with try catch block. Here you can see the automatically exception is coming, but I can print out, right? Arithmetic exception, okay, and I can print it out. SY. I can change that one. Okay, I can customize it. Okay, let's try to run it. So either you can go with generic exceptions, or if you know the specific exception, you can deal with that. Okay, you can see arranging exceptions by 0 is coming in the printing side, and if you do not know the exception, you can go with still exception. Only exception will occur, work, or exact exception name.
So we need to keep the line for which exception we are expecting.
Right.
That line only.
Yeah, right. Will be surrounding in the try catch block, right? Not the other remaining line. Yeah. So you can write same way, or you can just, if you do not want to write it, you can just. So it's better that you can write it so that you can get the exact exception, right? So I am getting in single line if I want to print the exception. Okay. So that is the one way. And suppose the next one is say I will be defining something called string. I am defining string which is having a value called string equal to str equal to null value, null. So it is not having any value. Now if you want to print the size, then it will also throw the exception, right? Because it does not have the size, right? Str dot size, because it is 0 size. I mean without any size. String dot size. So string dot length. So it's a null. So definitely it will throw some exception. I need to handle it, right? Similar way. So if you do not know, you can find with that exceptions, generic exception. And now if you, after running it, if you know it, so you can go with the exception name. So you can see the null pointer exception is coming because it is not null, and definitely for the null one you cannot get the length, right? So it is null pointer exception. So if you want to handle it, you can just copy paste that exception name, and it is coming from java.lang. That package, java.lang package. Okay, now I already know the name, I can handle it with this way. Okay, you can see it is coming, right? So that is the better. If you do know it, so you can go with that exception. If you do not know it, you can go with that generic exception. Okay. But if you do not handle the exceptions, your remaining line of code will never be executed. That is the reason you need to handle the exception. Okay. So exception handling should be always there in the Java, and there are three type of exception: checked, unchecked, and the error. Error is definitely cannot do anything. Checked one sometimes can be during the compilation time itself, you can get to know, and unchecked is only during running only you can get to know this is the exception can occur, and you can handle the exception in the try, catch, finally throw and throws block. So I'll be covering few up in the upcoming session. Okay, so I just want to give you the high level again recapture whatever I have covered. So you already covered, I already covered all the conditional statement. In case you only just go for the positive one, validation one, you can use the if statement. If you want to go for the remaining positive and negative validation, you can go for the if else. And if you want to check for condition within between the condition within the condition, you can go for nested if, and if you go for multiple condition, you can go for else if or else if ladder, if else if ladder, right? And switch statement also similar way, you can use switch statement where each expressions will be called as case and it must be unique in nature. You can surround with each statement with the break, otherwise it might be problems, because in case your condition is matching and in case you are not using the break, so it will go for all the condition. Method where recurrence will be required, right? You can go for the methods, you can use some built-in method as well as you can use create your customized methods, right? Method is sometimes known as functions. So method can be having without returning value or with returning value, right? Constructor, definitely default constructor will be there in the Java always. So if you write the constructor, only as and when you will be using the new keyword and will be creating object every type, constructor will be called, right? Constructor name should be same name as the method name, but constructor should not have a return type. Okay, wrapper class is really required to wrap the primitive data type to the object, because sometimes Java deals with the object only, and if you do not convert them, you cannot use them, especially in the collection framework, right? And date and calendar function, lot of important methods I already shown you that you can deal with. You can get all the details for the current calendar date, you can add, you can set the new calendar date, right, as and when required. And definitely exception, you can if you know that this kind of exception can happen in Java, right, you can always try to handle with that with the try, catch, block, finally block. And if you handle the exceptions, the thing will be that your remaining lines of code will not be impacted, and definitely it will try to execute all the line of code. Otherwise, if you do not handle the exceptions, as and when exception will be occurring, your execution will be terminating immediately, and your remaining line of code execution will not be happen. Okay, so that's all for today's session. Thank you.